They ruined it. You had one job and they ruined it. Star Wars Battlefront, the Classic Collection. A collection of some of the most greatest Star Wars games that have ever released. Games that have had a chokehold on gamers for close to 2 decades now. Now in 2024, thanks to the folks at Aspire Media, they have re-released these classic games for a new generation of gamers to have fun on maps that we spent countless of hours in our childhoods. New memories for a new generation. But with any release comes the big question, is it worth getting? Is it actually the new definitive edition of the games, or is it just a soulless cash grab? That's what I want to try to do. I want to help you make an educated purchase, whether or not you want to be a dumbass and spend your money here and not here. Convenience is the #1 thing that people take for granted, and off the bat this game offers that. Both games are present in one download. Immediately when the game starts up, you are presented with 2 options. Do you want to play Battlefront 1? Or do you want to play Battlefront 2? While Battlefront 1's menus were the same across the board, Battlefront 2's menus on PC were, well, it looked like this. A byproduct of its rushed development, but luckily enough the Classic Edition has streamlined the console versions to be the standard menus, and it just looks so much better compared to how it was before. When you get in the game, it's just like the originals. Everything is there off the bat for you to play. All the maps and modes for both games are available for you to get up and play on instant action. Galactic Conquest, and of course, multiplayer. And let me tell you this, playing multiplayer for the very first time for the original Battlefront is something I didn't think I'll ever get to experience in my lifetime. Playing space battles with actual players and not lobotomized bots cause for actual fun, exciting, and challenging matches. The game comes with a lot more settings than the original release. The new accessibility settings are a much appreciated addition for the game, as now we have basic features like color blindness, an FOV slider, a functioning resolution changer. Controller support for PC arrives with full controller mapping for every platform. The console streamlined UI is actually a welcome change for people who've only experienced a PC release for these games. Being able to pick up your class from a spinning selection is fantastic. The 4K textures look crisp as they give more life to the skybox, and vehicles seem visually improved thanks to it. The new addition of achievements give my little dopamine deprived brain a little bit of a reward for doing stuff in a game that originally didn't have any achievements. As a Steam Deck user, this is an amazing release on PC, as this was made with controllers in mind, and with settings like aim assist just further helping the experience for Steam Deck users. I feel like I don't ever have to download the originals ever again. Add-on files were found for the Classic Edition, which means modding is in fact possible, but that's about it for my first experience. I had a blast finally being able to play through my childhood once again, but I do realize that it's just that. It's nostalgia. So what happens when I take off the glasses? To start off the list of bad, I'm just gonna say it, there's no physical release of the game. I know people for the most part have moved on from physical release to have gone full digital, but I myself want to actually own my games, and not having the option to get a physical, it's a bit of a letdown. Yes I know they tend to release physical copies through limited run games, but those actually come months later and interest starts to dwindle down for the games. But that's just starting off the bad list. In today's world, the #1 thing that we all need no matter what device we own is storage. The resource that is only limited by how much money is in our wallets. And in a time where every game is releasing in outrageous sizes, the ultimate fear of having to delete games and to download new games continue to persist. And this is not fucking helping that. The original titles on Steam are as listed. Battlefront 1 comes out to be 2.83 gigabytes, and Battlefront 2 comes out to be 9.65 gigabytes, for a total of 12.48 gigabytes for both classic games. Yeah, it makes you go, what the fuck, and wonder why it's 70 gigabytes. And the bigger shot to the foot being that these games come from an era where all you needed to do to play the game was plop the disc into the console. The reason why these games are so big is because of the 4K textures. And yes, if you mod these original games with 4K textures, they'll still come out to be sub 20 gigabytes. So the reason why in this game the 4K textures are so big is because they're uncompressed. Simple as that. The developers just simply got lazy and didn't compress the files, which would reduce the overall size. They just left the files as is, causing it to be bloated like any modern day Call of Duty release. In theory, releasing a game right now with one of your selling points is the ability to play with your friends would mean that it would be easy to play with your friends, right? Well, as of right now, playing with your friends is nothing but a bad experience. I completely understand that this is a launch problem. I completely understand that it will be fixed later. But I, for one, am getting tired of the whole release it early and fix it later mentality that most gaming studios have now adopted thanks to easily being allowed to release patches for games whenever they want. Aspire, trying to be authentic to 2005 as possible, decided to not include an in-party feature and instead said, fuck you, and resorted to the classic feature of trying to find the correct server to join. And the funny thing about it is that as I write this impressions video, the servers don't fucking work for both games. Battlefront 2 as of right now has a problem where some people can see both Aspire and fan servers, and others can only see Aspire dedicated servers. And in Battlefront 1, no fucking server pops up. Like, what the actual fuck? Like I said, I do acknowledge that it will be quickly patched, as it took 4 hours from the moment the game released to when we can finally see the servers, and by the time you see this video, the servers may be fully fixed and ready for you to go in. But I'm just tired of games not working the moment they go live. But that's just me. The joysticks still feel wonky to play with all these years later. The FOV slider does not apply well on Battlefront 2 as it does in Battlefront 1. I cannot apply any of my settings without needing to back out of the lobby I'm currently in. Why the fuck is this even a problem? The inclusion of hero assault on every map sounded good on paper, but when you play it yourself, you soon find out that some maps just don't feel right for the mode. But of course, this may very well come down to my preference, but I just didn't have fun like I thought I would. With all the new features and settings, why is it that there isn't different controller mappings for vehicles? And as a matter of fact, why are some features missing? The ability to invert flight controls are nowhere to be seen. Some vehicles use the inverted flight controls while others don't. There's no consistency. Why isn't there a queue feature for the server browser? Why are all matches ungodly short? Why is it that in Battlefront 2, the enemy AI still never use any of the heroes or villains? Something people complained about back in 2005, and you had your chance to do something here and you still didn't do it. What's with your censorship? I've seen that you can't even type the word suck. And funny enough, when I was making an account, I was not able to write Kenobi as it was flagged for being inappropriate, but I was able to write down Osama bin Laden. Why is there a lack of accessibility options? Yes, I just praised the game for having some, but the original had basically zero, and you gave us a few, but not to the standards of a modern day release, so there's still a lot left to be desired. There should be no reason why this game is 70 gigs. Why the fuck didn't you just compress the 4K files? The game released to be 25 gigabytes on the Nintendo Switch. That sounds perfectly fine. So why is everyone else being fucked over being given the 70 gigabyte game? The original Battlefront series are famously known for their modding support. Why isn't there any word or mention of any mod support? The simple addition of a workshop feature for Steam would be perfect in these type of games to further give more life and longevity for these games. But that's pretty much all of my negative takes, I think, for the first 5 hours. Negative takes for games are usually all subjective. Not everyone thinks alike. What I might find fun, you may think is fucking horrible. But let's actually go on when shit just doesn't work. Alright, I fully know that everything that's about to be mentioned won't affect everyone by the time you actually buy the game. This is just purely what I saw during my playthrough at launch, and I fully understand that by the time you get the game, it'll be fixed. The shit show started before the game even released. When the clock finally hit midnight, the game was available to play on PlayStation 5 only. Those of us on Steam, Nintendo Switch, and Xbox were actually just waiting to download and play the game, as for some fucking reason, the game was pushed back by an hour. So yep, what a great start. And once we were in, the only thing we were allowed to play were all the offline modes because the servers were fucked for the first 4 hours. And once we got in, we were plagued with connection issues after connection issues. Servers closing down, servers not starting, servers not allowing us to get in, getting stuck on the countdown, servers not closing properly. Sometimes I can't even get into a vehicle no matter how many times I tap the button. Visual bugs, having to back out to join the server again only to repeat the same issues. And that's just what I saw. There's still more problems that people have been mentioning. The audio just not working for some people, and audio bugs that are just ear raping people. People were reporting that even if you got into a server, you could not spawn in. The game has been crashing for many. People have reported that some of the cutscenes in the campaigns are missing, and all of this stuff mentioned was seen only in Battlefront 2. Battlefront 1 played amazingly, and didn't really have any issues, so I'm happy about that. So now we get to the main question, should you buy it? Well, it all depends what you're looking for. Are you looking to relive your childhood in the modern day with your friends online in multiplayer or in person with couch co-op? Well then, yes, of course, go out and buy it. But there's more to that question. It all revolves around your certain circumstances right now. Do you have $35 that you really don't want? Well then yes, go buy it. Do you have a PlayStation? Then yes, go buy it. Do you have a Nintendo Switch? Yes, go buy it. It's the first time that these games have been on these platforms in over a decade, and Nintendo never got the originals on any of their platforms, funny enough. So of course, I would recommend getting these games on those consoles. If you own an Xbox, it's really up to you to decide. If you have the money, I say go for it. If you have friends, go out and have a fun time. If you own a PC, I will strongly pass up this release in its current launch state. Yes, I know it's only $30. Yes, both games are included in one launcher. But if you already have the games on Steam and on Xbox, then for the time being, I would suggest to just stick to those releases. I don't really recommend you going out and buying these games right now, especially when the alternative is going to some e-site and buying the original games for a total of $5. And with the constant Steam sales that happen left and right, I highly suggest you sitting back and just waiting for it to go down in price. These games are great when they work. I'm able to relive classic maps like Mos Eisley, Mustafar, the Dune Sea, Polis Massa, Bespin platforms with my friends. I'm able to play on these classic maps again. I'm able to storm the Jedi Temple with friends. But realistically speaking, I'm still able to do all of that before this release. I was able to do all of this and more in the original games, and I'm still able to go and play those games and mod all the content into it. Sure, I'm able to get 4K textures in the new one. I can just mod the originals to have that, and have a smaller file size as a result. Sure, I can get the previously exclusive Xbox DLC now. I could just go back and mod that in the original. Sure, the XL mode is not present on all platforms. Yeah, the PC exclusive mode is now available everywhere. That's good. The way how I see it, if you're on PlayStation and on Switch, I highly recommend these games on those platforms. But if you own an Xbox and are on Steam, then just wait for these games to go down on price. I would only recommend this release right now for those on Steam if you own a Steam Deck, as it's a vast improvement to the original game. But with no crossplay functionality, we are once again fractured off into our own little communities. PlayStation plays with each other, Xbox plays with each other, Nintendo plays with each other, and now us on PC plays with each other. And I have no idea how long the multiplayer will last for this current release, if I'm to be honest, because the servers for the original games are still alive right now. It's just fracturing the player base now. It's not like the original titles will be taken off Steam, right? Oh god, I hope that doesn't happen. What the fuck did I just say?